Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, late afternoon, early evening, February 26th, 2023. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And we made it through another week. And I would like to welcome everyone to the show today. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube. And we're going to go over climate-related items, methane from NOAA and CAMS, and sea ice. And we'll look at the satellite view of the sea ice on NASA World View, and we'll go over earthquakes. So, like I said, I hope everyone is hanging in there and doing as well as possible. It was kind of a hard week for me, but I'm here, and we've got geomagnetic storms going on right now from solar flares and CMEs that were released. We had an X 2.2 class solar flare earlier this week, and I think that was the largest one that I'm aware of that I've seen. And anyway, we get extra solar radiation with things like that. So if you're if you've got problems with your nervous system, that's probably why. And so anyway, so let's start out with Climate Reanalyzer, and we're on 2-meter maximum temperatures around the world. And here in the Arctic, see, here's the super cold air, but this is, you'll see on 2-meter temperature anomaly, this whole area from Svalbard up to Severnaya Zemlya, it's all a lot warmer than normal. Oh, and we've been having winter storms here in the Reno area. We've got another one coming in tomorrow, and they've already issued a blizzard warning for the Sierras. That's the mountains just west of Reno. And blizzard warning for the Sierras starting Monday night, going until Wednesday morning, and the whole area is going to get dumped on. They're saying maybe 4 to 6 feet of snow above 7,000 feet, and I'm glad I'm not at 7,000 feet anymore. I had been, but I'm about 4,500 feet, about a mile, but we're still going to get snow. And they're saying that this could be the big one for this winter. So so there's that. So if anyone in this area, if you need to go and get anything from the store or supplies or anything, you better go ahead and do it before tomorrow evening. And it's going to be high winds and stuff bringing it in. So it's just a heads up. It's a good thing to be stocked up just in case you have a few days where you can't get out. And it's just better to have a little bit of reserves, or whatever you can do anything you can do to have a little extra is better than not doing anything. So, anyway, so here we are on the flat view. We've got whites down here in Argentina, whites across equatorial Africa, also in southern Africa. We've got some whites popping up in India. It's gone down here in Australia, but there's still quite a few whites, and that's 40 C or higher, or 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly, and this is what I was saying. Look at these reds and going up into the pink zone here, and so this is 18 to about 26 C higher than normal. This whole area, and see how it reaches across the North Pole and just north of Greenland. And so this is over some of that thicker sea ice that we have right now. Let's see, it goes right up to Severnaya Zemlya and over to Novaya Zemlya, and here's our dividing line in the North Barents Sea. But we also see we've got warm air over the North Atlantic and the Barents Sea as well. And then all these blues, that's all colder than normal. And here in the U.S., see, we've got blues starting in about Arizona and going west, then browns going east, and this northeast part that's in blues and going up into Canada. We still got browns over the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic here and over Mexico. Here's a flat view, and see, we've got blues coming down from Russia down through Europe, and then browns just east of that. Look at Africa, it's got dark browns up in the center of the northern part. I think that's Libya. Not sure what this one is. Anyway, and we've got browns and reddish browns coming down through China there, and so on. We still have some reddish browns and browns over the Antarctic, but that's gone down somewhat. Here's our overview, and everything's gone up. Worldwide, we're up 0.71 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is 1.01 C up, and here the Arctic is up 4.94 C, and it's been going up on a daily basis this week. The Antarctic is still up 1.49 C. Southern Hemisphere is up 0.41 C, and the tropics are up 0.36 C. So even with all the cold air and the blizzards and everything, we have all 6 regions are higher than normal, and we have both poles higher than normal. And so with both poles higher than normal like that, that's a sign of runaway warming. Here's precipitation and clouds for today. And the blue is snow, the green is rain. See, we've got rain along the Norway coastline. We've got rain coming up to Iceland. Then we've got snow just west of this rain that's coming up to Greenland. See this purple on this east side of Greenland? That's rain-snow mix. And we've got snow in that area that was so much warmer than normal, air temperature wise. See that? And see, here's this next system, big system. Here it is coming in from the Pacific. And we've had snow off and on a lot of the week this week, and cold. I mean, it's been cold, and I haven't been anywhere. It's been 2 weeks. I haven't been anywhere. So here's the flat view, and here's this big system that we just finished here in the US, and so that's headed to our friends on the east side of the Atlantic. So get ready for that. And see, here's this system. Here's another one coming across too. Okay, here are the jet pieces. I don't call it the jet stream. I used to call it jet loops, and now I'm calling it jet pieces because it's just, you know, it's chaotic and there's no rhyme or reason. Look at this one. This is a constant. This one that starts about the equator here over in the Pacific, and then it moves up a tiny bit, and then is one long stream all the way around. See? And then it splits up here in the Pacific, and here we've got an arm shooting up, see, all the way to the Bering Strait, and then here's a break, and here it comes apart in two more pieces. One arm goes to the southern hemisphere, and the other arm goes up here, and then here it picks up again. So that's been the pattern for quite some time here. And dual streams with a lot of broken pieces. Okay, we'll look at snow cover in a minute. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is for yesterday, the 25th. And still seeing browns in this North Atlantic, and moving into brownish red here next to Svalbard, and these browns still in the Bering Sea. We've got a little bit more brown here on this west side of Svalbard. And, these areas are coming into the sunlight now. And so once it's in the sunlight, where it's already open water, it's going to be heating up fast, and the ice is going to be melting fast. See, we've got brown here in the Bering Sea, and the ice just comes down this far. Sea ice. And then reds and pinks and browns on the eastern seaboard, and browns moving into reds in the Gulf of Mexico. Here's the flat view, and see the red here in the South Atlantic, but most of the Atlantic is in the browns. A lot of the Indian Ocean is in the browns. Here's the Pacific view. See, it's red between Japan and the mainland. We've still got browns in the North Pacific. Then here it's colder as it's coming up to the coastline. We're seeing more browns in this equatorial Pacific and around Mexico and Baja. And here around South America. And thinking that's where we're transitioning to the El Nino. And then browns around New Zealand and Tasmania, and we're also seeing browns around the coastline in the Antarctic too. And the sun's going down there, but it's still it's at an angle, and so it's still hasn't gotten dark yet down there in the Antarctic. So there's that. Now we'll look at methane. We're going to start with the NOAA methane data, and we're going to look at yesterday, Saturday the 25th in the morning, starting with the METOP-B satellite at the 1,000 millibar level. The mean or average was 1,840 parts per billion. The high reading was 2196. And so we've got missing data over a lot of China and Southern Asia and going up into Russia. And these are areas where it's very high methane. So, if we had all the data, this mean, I'm thinking, would probably be higher. We're also missing a lot of Australia, too. Here in the afternoon, the mean was 1840. The high reading was 2224. On the METOP-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1843. The high reading was 2238. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1842. And the high reading was 2272. Here's our weekly numbers in the chart. So the 25th averaged out to be 1841.25, and so we went down 0.75 this week from here to here. Now this number, we had a new low this week, and it happened on the 20th, and it was 1840.25. So I took the other lows off, and the other lows had been 1840.75, and then we had 2 days this week that were even lower than that. So let's see what happened this week. So here we were in the show last Sunday with the data from the 18th of 1842.0, and just a slight decrease that week of 0.5. And the 19th went down 1.0, so that was at 1841. And the 20th was 1840.25, and so another decrease of 0.25, and that gave us our lowest reading for this season, this winter season so far. Then the 21st started going up, went up 0.25. The 22nd, it went up 2.75, so that was a large increase. 23rd, it went down 1.75. 24th, down 0.75. And so the 25th was an increase over the day before, 0.5, and giving us an overall decrease this week of 0.75. And normally we see our lowest readings December, January. I mean, that's what it's been in past years when I was tracking this NOAA data. But I did not track the 1,000 millibar level before, not until they changed the model. I had to start over. That was at the end of October last year, and when they changed the new model to the new model, I decided to track 1,000 millibar, which is equivalent to about surface level on CAMS, and also the 487 millibar, which is the closest we can get to the 500 HPA level on CAMS. So I'm thinking that, surface level is going to behave differently than as you get moving up in the atmosphere. So anyway, that's what that is. Now we'll move on to the 487 millibar level and Met-Op-B satellite in the morning. The mean was 1909. The high reading was 2440. In the afternoon, the mean was 1911. The high reading was 2379. On the Met-Op-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1870. High reading was 2170. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1870. And the high reading was 2240. So here's our chart for the 487 millibar level. So the 25th averaged out to be 1890.0, and that gives us an increase this week of 3.25. So you can see here where we went up. And so so far our low for this season, I showed it in my last report, happened on the 16th of 1885.0 right here. So again, mid-February, and that's late for compared to the years that I've been tracking this. But it is still winter, and I'm thinking we've bottomed out, especially with the sun coming up in the Arctic, and I think we're on the upswing now, and that doesn't mean it may not go down, a couple of days during the week, but it'll be more of a stair-stepping pattern and a trend upward. Okay, so here's what happened this week. In our show last Sunday, we ended at 1886.75, and we went down 3.5 that week. Then on the 19th it went down 0.25. On the 20th it went up 1.0. 21st it went up 1.25. On the 22nd it went up 0.75. So we got 3 days in a row there of increase. On the 23rd it went down 0.5. 24th down 0.25, and on the 25th it went back up 1.25, giving us an increase this week of 3.25. So there's that. Now we'll look at the CAMS methane data, and we're starting here with Saturday the 25th, Arctic view and surface level. Here's our color ledger at the bottom. So the data is for Saturday, and forecast period is Sunday through Wednesday. So if we look here in this Laptev Sea, see the red coming up, and in this East Siberian Sea, we've got red and orange and yellow all the way across. So this is ice, or it's ice. This is methane coming up through the sea ice. This is being released from the shallow seabed. See, I mean, it's isolated. It's obviously not coming from Kotovik or Komsomolets or anything like that. So that bright red reading, well, it's this red-orange, is 2080 parts per billion, and then the and then the next red, a little bit darker, is 2100 parts per billion. So we're seeing those readings here. And look here, seeing the East Siberian Seas too. So those are in the forecast period. And Komsomolets is percolating again. And see how it's streaming. Okay, and here in the Kara Sea, Barents Sea, the coastline and all of that. Also Finland. Finland has been super high in methane this week. And then we're seeing the red wave, move across Russia. And this North Dakota area, there's so much going on there with oil and gas and lignite coal mining, and I mean it's just always hemorrhaging. And depending on which way the wind is blowing, you'll either see it stream like this, see east and up to Canada, or back west. But it's anyway, that's just always there. Here we're seeing this area of the tar sands in Canada coming back to life. Also, we've got these hot spots in Washington State. That's around the Seattle area. Okay, there's that. And now we'll go to the North Pole view. Here we can see pretty much the whole northern hemisphere. See, Germany's filling up, and then moving down. Persian Gulf, let's see the high readings spilling over to Saudi Arabia. India's filled up. China's filling up. Look at this dark wave moving south across from China and southern Asia. Now that's some high methane. When you see that coming out like that, just irrespective of the borders, you know, that's some high methane. And then here in the US, and you can see the model. It's showing that you know, once we get that storm moving across with more rain and snow and stuff, I mean, we'll have, see the methane is just going to be filling up. See that? In California, you're still high too. Okay, now we're gonna hop to the Antarctic. I like showing this once that background reading goes down. And then we can see where it's coming up around the coastlines. Here's the Brunt ice shelf, the whole thing. Then, see, it's spotty along this north coast. This whole western peninsula, see, it's releasing on both sides. And down here, on this little elbow, just next to Pine Island Glacier, and then down here, on the coastline, southern coastline, just next to the Ross Sea. And here's the Amory ice shelf, that's a constant. And so on. So this background color is this dark navy blue, and that reading equates to 1820 parts per billion. Okay, now we'll go to the global view. And one thing we're starting to see now is the higher methane readings kind of creeping in below the equator. So I think that's a sign that methane is on the upswing now, on the rise. So okay, now we'll look at 500 HPA, and so it went up. At this level it went up, what was it, 3.5 this week. .25, and here it's heaviest in the northern hemisphere, and it's migrating. The heavy readings are starting to migrate further south, and that's because of the change of season now. And as the North Pole tips more and more towards the sun and starts heating up, we're going to see this methane redistribute See these reds coming further south too. Here's total column. And here are the highest readings, China and southern Asia there. This northern part of India. Also, we've been seeing some high readings here in South America, near Brazil and Peru there. So there's that. And we'll just go over a few more things from CAMS. This is sulfur dioxide today, and we've got a new high reading here in the South Pacific. Not sure what the origin of that is. And see, it's gotten higher over Alaska and Canada here, and we've been having volcano eruptions on Kamchatka, and that's been spreading out and across. Here it is at 500 HPA. And see here in the South Pacific, it shot right up. That could be plate movement. I'm just not sure. Oh, and I wanted to show something. I think Larry was asking about sulfur dioxide, and I know he's colorblind, and so it's hard for him to distinguish colors. And so I just wanted to go over this color ledger for sulfur dioxide. And sulfur dioxide is measured in parts per million, whereas methane is measured in parts per billion. And so this is the range down here. The highest reading is this 100 to 999 parts per million. That's the dark brown. We're not seeing that at total column anywhere, but we do see that when we go to 500 HPA a lot of times. And then this lighter brown kind of is 50 to 100. And then we're moving into the golden brown. That's 20 to 50. That's like what's showing up here in India. And then the next one down is 10 to 20. So that's a little lighter up here. And then we're moving into light 10. That's 5 to 10. And then the cream color, 2 to 3. 2 to 5. And then light olive color, 1 to 2. See, it's going down as we go left. And then, so this 1 to 2 parts per million, that's this, like this light, kind of a cream color mix with the olive green. And then it keeps going down, and like the lowest readings we're seeing are this, like this kind of a dark greenish blue, like here in the Atlantic, and up here across the Pacific, and here in the Indian Ocean. And it's not a lot, but that reading is 0.1 to 0.2 parts per million. And then see, we see blues and even light blue on the scale. We don't see those anymore. And when I first started learning CAMS and studying and reporting on all this stuff, the sulfur dioxide background readings were a lot lower. I mean, we had blues for a lot of the area, and we don't have any of the lighter blues, but you know, the lowest we have is 0.1 to 0.2, which is this darker color. I think, I mean, I think I've got, or it might not even be that. I think it is, but you know, they're talking about shooting sulfur dioxide up in the atmosphere to block the sun and to cool us down, but that's a really bad idea. And they might already be doing it, and that could explain like the higher readings in areas where just all of a sudden we've got higher sulfur dioxide, and not from earthquakes or volcanoes. And we were seeing also in 2020, just at the beginning and during the first few months of the lockdowns, we were seeing high sulfur dioxide over large areas, I mean, just covered up large areas. And I'm thinking that was the sulfates falling down out of the atmosphere. So I just wanted to show that for Larry. And you know, if anyone wants me to explain anything, I'm happy to. Just leave it in the comment section and I'll get to it. And here's the ozone hole over the Antarctic today, and we're seeing a little bit of solid yellow, and that's considered an average or good number for the thickness, and that's 300 Dobson units. But it's just over a little bit, and then we're moving down into the yellow, green, chartreuse, and then darker green. So 3 levels down of ozone here. Here's the Arctic view. See all this heavy? It gathers during the winter time. It gathers heavy in this northern hemisphere, and here's a thin area just next to Norway. And then here's the global view. And we've got greens, see, for most of over half the planet is in some shade of green, or we've got aquas too here over the Gulf of Mexico and Western Pacific. Now that's hard to make out, but I just know it's there. So that's all of those. Okay, now we'll move on to the sea ice portion of our show. And we're going to start with our slideshow from Climate Reanalyzer. And I download these images every day from Climate Reanalyzer. There was one day they did not upload one for sea ice and snow cover, and so we're missing one day this week. So here we are today. Look how far south the snow is coming, and the white, and this is Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California. Oh yeah, it's been a crazy week. LA got snow. You know, y'all are not equipped for that. I know, it's just, anyway. So we saw a little bit of regrowth here around Franz Josef Land. Not much, and a little bit here around Greenland. Mainly it's thickening. So let's see if we can see what happened this week. So here we were last Sunday, the 19th. So we'll just go through this. Here's Monday. And so this is Wednesday, so we're missing from, we're missing Tuesday. So this is Wednesday. Thursday, there's the regrowth. Friday, Saturday, and now it's retreating up here from Svalbard, see? And here we are today. So not much change this week. And now we'll look at the models. And we're starting with the U.S. Navy Arctic sea ice thickness. This is for today, the 26th. And our color ledger on the right that goes the light lavender, really light lavender, is about 1/2 meter thick, and then it goes backwards through the rainbow colors up to the dark brownish red to 5 meters thick. And we see just a little tiny bit of that level along the Canadian coastline here. And most of it's in some shade of aqua. The dark aqua is 1.5 meters thick. The brighter aqua is 2 to 2.5 meters thick. And that's the majority of what we're seeing in the thickness range. And then the purple, solid purple, from the dark blue to purple is about 1 meter thick. And that's the majority of what we're seeing here. So we'll just zoom in and see what we've got. And here it is. See, the aqua areas showing up in the Hudson Bay, so that's a little thicker. We've got thickening going on in these tributaries. There's a hole right here in the North Baffin Bay. This is always worn. Always. I don't know why. We've also got a hole on the opposite side of Greenland. And we've got a little bit of regrowth around the southern edges of Greenland. A little bit of thickening here in the Baffin Bay. And we've got some fringe ice, see, extending in this Barents Sea. But see, in this quadrant 2, it's mainly light purple, and then a little bit of moving into darker blue and aqua here. And here in quadrant 1, which includes the Laptev Sea. See, this whole area of the Laptev Sea is thinner than the other areas, so this is warmer, and so we'll see this sea ice melt faster than the rest of these areas. And this is like the dark blue moving to purple, about 1.25 meters thick. And we've got aqua that came all the way across to Siberia. Different shades, like I said, and that just denotes different thicknesses of the ice. Here's the Beaufort Sea. And the green line, that's 3 meters thick. Here's the Bering Strait. Here's the Bering Sea. And Sevo Coast. Now this has regrown somewhat. Okay, here's the 30-day animation. Now this was updated to Friday. So the data goes back 3 weeks and the forecast period goes out to this coming Friday. So we're almost at maximum extent for the Arctic, and you'll see, I mean, it's kind of fizzled out on this regrowth. It's mainly just thickening. And thickening is definitely important. So we're going to have a blue ocean event this summer? Probably so. This is the year that a lot of the climate scientists have been saying we'd have the blue ocean event. And we're seeing this aqua ice slide down. See, it's exiting across Greenland and then sliding down. See the break here? And then it's also sliding west. You can see the whole thing kind of moving. down towards this Beaufort Sea. Now look at this here in the forecast period. Here, I'll stop it in a second. Looks like we've got some retreat. Yeah, this is a retreat here in the Bering Sea. That's not good. So, let's go back. Yeah, it's about the same this week. So right at the very end, we've got a little bit of retreat going on. So there's that. Here's the Beaufort Sea ice thickness. This is Canada on the right. See the darker areas? That's the 5 meters thick. Not much. And then the bright red, that's 4 to 4.5 meters thick. Not much of that either. Just a thin line of yellow, which is about 3.75 meters thick. And then the dark green, that's about 3 meters thick. And then we've got aquas out here in this Beaufort Sea. And see, this is a little thinner area between the coastline and the thicker ice that's moving down. Here's the Chukchi Sea, and this has been thinner all winter. And remember, this was some of the last ice to freeze right in here. And here's the 30-day animation, and this was updated to today, so the forecast period goes out to next Sunday. Now you see it jump out and back. That's from the ice drift. And the ice drift, that's like depends on the ocean currents, the waves, also the wind. And so once it drifts left, then it'll go back right. And see, when it goes back, see, it's thicker because it's piling up along the coastline there. So there's that. And the bleak Antarctic. And it's still, it's kind of flatlined with the melting here. I think we might have reached minimum. Just hard to say. And so we can see that the only significant sea ice is right here in the Weddell Sea, the aqua areas. And then see the lavender. That's just, it's all broken up there. And then we've got some just fringy ice around the coastlines. And here's the 30-day animation. And again, this was updated to Friday, so the forecast goes out to next Friday. So what you'll see when we reach the minimum, then everything will just kind of settle. It'll just look like it's settling, and not much movement for a few days, and then the regrowth will start. So there's that. Okay, moving on to National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is Arctic sea ice thickness for yesterday. The brown line is the median, and the dark blue, that's either melting or refreezing, but it's the thinnest ice and not concentrated. So we've got blue here at that hole at the north end of the Baffin Bay too. Here's the Arctic sea ice extent chart. This is for yesterday, and the blue line is this year. This dotted line was 2012, and the gray line is the median, and see how it flatlined for a few days this week, but then it just nudged up and now it's flat again. And like I said, typically we'll see maximum around mid-March. Last year, I can't remember what it did last year. Here was 2012, and see, we're below 2012, and see how it was still increasing at this point, and we're just barely not going down. Here's the Antarctic. And here's the melting, the extent chart. So the blue line is this year, and see, it's flattening out, and this kind of a dark green or greenish gray line was last year. We're just a hair below last year. And remember, last year we hit record low, and so we're at record low again, lower than last year's record low. And I think we hit minimum, it was right around the end of February. So there's that. Okay, now we'll move on. Take a peek at NASA Worldview, and let's start in the Arctic. And here's the satellite view, and see, this black circle is getting smaller. This is where it's still dark up here. So all the Russia coastline is in view except for just this little ear on the Taimyr Peninsula. all of Novaya Zemlya is in the view, and this little foot of Svalbard is just now in the sunlight. And this, where the nearest strait opens out into the Baffin Bay, that's in the sunlight. A lot of this archipelago now is in the sunlight, and so we've got quite a bit of area in the sunlight now, but it's still kind of hard to see because it's at the sun is at such a low angle. So what am I doing? It was on the wrong day. I thought look at this. This is the 26th, isn't it? Yeah, well, you know, NASA Worldview is not shy about blocking stuff out, you know, like that square. And also, we're missing some data there. There was a note up here. It could be, there was a notice I saw earlier today. It says incoming MODIS and VIIRS imagery stopped on February 25th, 2023 due to data processing issues upstream from Worldview. As of February 26th, 2023, new VIIRS imagery should be restarting while MODIS data processing is still being worked. Our apologies for any inconvenience. So that's why. So let's see if our layers work. Okay, here's our sea ice layer. Let's look at that. And if we turn on the blue marble view, then we won't have any distractions. Look, here's some ice, little fringe ice south of Greenland. And we're not seeing hardly any white, and white means good concentration, that it's frozen solidly with no cracks, and we're just seeing very little white. And so that's not a good sign to be ending the winter, the refreeze, ending the refreeze with all this pink, and that means there are a lot of cracks, there's a lot of open water, and meaning that the ice that's here will melt faster. So that's not good. Alright. So let's go back. Last Sunday was the 19th. See, we had more whites last Sunday than we do today. So what does that mean? It means the ice is melting. That's what that means. So let's click through here. Here's the 20th. See the whites. all these areas of whites, even here in the Bering Sea. And here, see, we're getting more pinks now. That's the 21st, 22nd. See, this is melting here in the Bering Sea. Look, that's heavy melt there. This is the 23rd. See all these pinks. 24th, 25th. See how that happened. And we're seeing darker pink here in the Chukchi Sea now. And here, the 26th, we got a little bit of white back. So that's kind of disturbing to see that. Oh, and a little tip. If you wanted to just like look here and get the names of the seas, you just turn on blue marble layer and it cuts out all the clouds and everything. You have to really zoom in because it's tiny, but it's all named. And you can see. You also can see some geography. For instance, where it's shallow, where it's really shallow. Here, see that green, that's showing it shallow. So that's just a little tip. Alright. And I'm pretty sure the nighttime layer is not working. Pretty sure of that. Yeah. We haven't had nighttime layer for several days, and it was not very good the last time I looked at it. So here we are for today, the 26th. Let's see what we can see, and then we'll go to the 25th. And so here's Wrangel Island, here's Russia, Siberia, and see these cracks in the ice? That's why it's in the pink zone on ice concentration, because you've got the cracks. If we didn't have these cracks, if all of this was solidly frozen, it would be white on concentration. Okay, here's clouds. This is the Laptev Sea. Here's New Siberian Islands. And see, same thing here. See all the cracks. Here's the Laptev Sea. Now see, that's coming apart. I mean, as soon as the sunlight hits, I mean, this stuff just starts. I mean, it's off to the races with the melting. Here's the Taimyr Peninsula. Here's the Kara Sea. see, look at this. So this is really thin ice here. Then we've got thicker pieces up there. And let's see, it's doing pretty good, but you know, it's not very thick. Here's Novaya Zemlya, all in the sun. Oh, and the Russians say they're ready to start testing nuclear bombs, nuclear weapons at Novaya Zemlya again. They're ready to do that. Which, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do. But I did some research and did a video about all the nuclear tests and stuff that were done on Novaya Zemlya and also across Russia, and they did it underwater, they did it above ground, they did it underground. I mean, and I think that it's because of all the nuclear testing that Russia did up here is why the Arctic is warming so much faster than the rest of the planet. I just think it heated things up, and they dumped a lot of nuclear waste into the ocean. That's hot. That nuclear waste is hot, and it's still there. They've got nuclear submarines, you know, that have sunk, and this kerosene is the most radioactive on the planet. So, you know, I'm not thrilled about them doing that, but they're going to do what they're going to do, and that's Russia territory, and it's primarily, well, it's military occupied. So there's Svalbard. Alright, so let's go to the 25th, and let's come down here, see what we can see. Not much, it's too many clouds. Here's the 24th. See the hole? Here's the ice. There's the hole. Here's the Baffin Bay. Here's Greenland. Let's go back. So here's yesterday. Here's the ice, little fringe ice coming down. Here's the Yama Peninsula. Here's the sea ice. And we're going to get weird colors until the sun really gets up. Here's the Laptev Sea. Look at this. This is New Siberian Islands. Here's the ice. And this is East Siberian Sea. So on CAMS, we saw it coming up here in the Laptev Sea and all across and this East Siberian Sea. So it's coming up through the sea ice. Here's Wrangell Island. This is a good view. Look at this. No clouds. This is the Bering Strait. There's Russia and Alaska over here. Here's the ice. Then coming back up, see the cracks. Here's the Chukchi Sea. Here's the Beaufort Sea. See the cracks. And here we are along the coastline. And here's Canada. See the cracks? This is that thicker ice too. Let's go back. Here's the 24th. See the cracks. And back to yesterday. So that's about all we can see up here. Now, here's the Antarctic. Let's see. Yeah, we got missing data here, obviously. Well, we'll see what we can see. Here's the Western Peninsula, and here's our A76 iceberg we've been tracking. Let's see what it did this week. Okay, here we were last Sunday. So it's moved quite a bit. And we'll go through. Here's the 20th, 21st. It's moving. 22nd. Look at that. 23rd. Nighttime view. Let me turn that off. So we'll go back. Here's the 22nd. That's a big jump. Look at this. To the 23rd. Yeah, it swung right around there. It's under a cloud on the 24th. And still under a cloud on the 25th. And it's still under a cloud on the 26th, but we can make it out there. It's still remarkably intact. And here's the Western Peninsula. And so this whole area, we saw methane coming up on CAMS. Here's the tippy point. Here's the sea ice. And this is what's left of the thicker ice. This is the aqua ice. 2 to 2.5 meters thick. Not much, huh? Here's the Weddell ice shelf and the Weddell Sea. And see, here's where it's coming apart. Okay, Brunt Ice Shelf, and when was it? Last month, this big iceberg, it calved off here. Too many clouds. And see, it really separated here. Hasn't moved that much though. See, it's kind of stuck. Well, it looks like it's breaking away. And, you know, these pieces of ice may have anchored it in. So, Brunt Ice Shelf, this is another area that methane is constantly coming up. Here's the north side, and here's the east side. And see, almost no ice along there. Let's look at the Totem Glacier. It's about the same. So this tongue hasn't capped off. I don't think. No, it's still there. You know, there's just so many clouds most of the time. It's hard to see anything. Alright. Now we'll go back to the 25th now. And here's the Ross Sea. This is clear. Pretty clear. Here's Ross Island and the clouds. Look at that. There's Mount Erebus, the volcano. See the shadows getting longer. It's sticking up through the clouds. That's a good view. The 22nd. See the shadow? And the shadow here. Then coming around. So here's the Ross Ice Shelf, and where the coastline is, right along here, is another constant methane area. Right along here, see? There's no ice there. It's right up to the coastline. Oops, forgot. Then coming around, Pine Island Glacier, Thwaites Glacier, and so we saw the tongue breaking up. There's one big piece that's still intact, and this is just disintegration of the tongue.
of the Thwaites Glacier, and we're looking through clouds here. See, almost every day was really cloudy. So here we were last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay, let's go in here. See, this is disintegration. This is thinner ice from the tongue. And then there's this one big piece, and it's kind of holding together out here. And the rest of the tongue is melted. I mean, it's gone. It's just gone. That went fast. See, too cloudy. Can't see anything, but we can see the edge here. So it hasn't calved off anymore, it doesn't look like. And Pine Island Glacier. Here we were last Sunday, and here's the edge of the glacier. And a big cloud. So, see if we can make anything out with all these clouds. No. So, we can't make anything out. It's just too cloudy. And we're back to where we started from. So there's that. And then we'll look at some earthquakes. So we've got 180 earthquakes worldwide today for all magnitudes. I'm not seeing any 6s today. These big dots are 5s. See. We had 2 6s yesterday. One near Papua New Guinea, and another one off the North Island, Hokkaido of Japan. These are all 5s. See, this ring of fire is active. And we've got a 5.0 here in China. And Turkey, it looks like, I mean, it slowed way down, but we're still having an earthquake here or there. Now, this is a 4.9 near Gölbaşı, Turkey, or Gölbaşı, Turkey. That could do damage. I mean, on land like that, it could definitely do damage. And so on. Here's 5.6, Poso in Indonesia. 5.1, Nisano Dua, Indonesia. 5.1, Kermadec Islands. 5.0, Kermadec Islands. Now New Zealand, and New Zealand is, they had a catastrophe. Okay, we got a 2.9 at Christchurch. At Hawke's Bay and near Gisborne, this area of the island was just wiped out from the cyclone Gabrielle that hit them, and they're not going to be able to grow food because the silt and the mud is so thick that overcame everything. They've got a lot of deaths. They've got, I think the last I saw, and Robert has been posting on his blog about this, last I saw was they had like 3,500 missing people on this North Island, and the rescuers are going in and just finding dead bodies everywhere, and it was not good. It's a very bad situation, and there's been looting and gangs and stuff like that, and it just breaks my heart. But you know, we're going to see more and more of this as the weather gets more extreme. Well, I mean, like seeing snow in LA this week. It's extreme weather is what we're seeing. Here's 5.0 ADAC Alaska. And so on. And then, let's see, here in the lower 48, 74. That's a low number. It's Sunday, and the earthquake makers are not at work. Here's one at the base of the Juan de Fuca plate, 2.9. So, anyway, let's see, 7 days, all magnitudes. Okay, we're showing 1,813 earthquakes worldwide this week. And so we had a big one up here in the North Atlantic, 5.1. It was on Iceland, actually. I forgot that. It was on land, right on the tectonic plate line. 5.1 near Akureyri. I don't know if that's how you say it. On the 21st. That could have caused damage. And in the South Atlantic, 5.1, Southern Mid-Atlantic Ridge, 5.0, South Sandwich Islands, and then a whole bunch along the South America coastline. Here's one, 5.0, Central East Pacific Rise, and we've got movement all around this Cocos plate. See that? Juan de Fuca plate had some activity. 4.1 was the largest, and Texas, West Texas, this area is constantly hemorrhaging methane. I mean hemorrhaging from all the drilling and fracking and stuff. We had 2 4s here. 4.2 on the 21st. That was at 11:44 p.m. That's Pacific time. Then a 4.0 right next to it at 12:51 a.m. on the 22nd. And I didn't mean to do that. Where was I? Here. I was going to show, so 39 earthquakes total here this week. And then see a line going down. And anyway, we haven't had any really huge ones here in the U.S., but lots of clusters. And then here's Alaska. Here's Kamchatka. See, they've had activity. Here's that 6.0 near Kushiro, Japan. And then 6.2 Papua New Guinea. That was in the ocean. No, it wasn't. It was on West New Britain Island, so that did damage, no doubt. And then these are 4s. Let's see what Turkey had this week. Look at this. It's the same directions. 28 here this week. And here's one I missed. 3.2 near Faro, Portugal, just off the coast of Portugal. This came in on the 24th, 1:15 a.m. and the red line is right there, tectonic plate line. Look at this, I missed this one too. Wales, 3.4 Wales in the UK on the 24th at 3:59 p.m. Pacific time. So lots and lots of movement. That's my report for tonight. And we're going to continue reading out of the book of Job. Job chapter 20. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, Therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer, and for this I make haste. I have heard the check of my reproach, and the spirit of my understanding causeth me to answer. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, Where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat is
in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of asps within him. He hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his belly. He shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he builded not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn, and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. The heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from God, and the heritage appointed unto him by God. Job chapter 20. So even in the Old Testament, we see time after time God's judgment on the people, who were sinful, or, didn't follow God and God's laws. And, that's how it is. That's how it is. And, we can learn a lot from Job and all of these Old Testament figures. And, Job never turned his back on God, never lost his faith, even though, he came under a lot of attack from Satan, and it was on purpose. And he never turned his back on God. And he, he had rough times. So let's be strong. If you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend it. And the only protection anyone is going to have in these darkest days is from God Almighty and from Jesus. Nothing created on this earth can protect you from the things that are coming. So I love you all, and I'm praying for you, and I hope you have a good week, as good as possible. Stay strong. Pray. get close to the Lord. And I love you and I'm praying for you. Lord willing, I'll be back here next week for another update. God bless you. Go in peace. I will talk to you soon. Good night.